is Dallas in trouble with what's going on there? I think last week we talked about them. They were in like the 5th seed, I think.
Yes.
And right now, they're not even in the play-in game, are they?
No, they're 11th right now in the Western Conference. Yeah, they're in the Western Conference. So, yeah, lost 2 straight to the Charlotte Hornets, who I believe are 25-51, and they're obviously looking towards the lottery, and Dallas they need every W. Most of these teams, really from the 6th seed down, they need as many W's as possible to try to either get in that top 6, Golden State's top 6 right now, or into the play-in. So it's just they've been struggling. Luka came out on the press conference, post-game press conference last game, said he just hasn't had that smile, hasn't had that energy that we're accustomed to seeing from him. Mm-hmm. And then of course people are going to automatically jump and say this is because of Kyrie. It's just it's so easy to do that. I don't know. In regards to that, I don't have no idea. I don't know what's going on in his personal life. Hopefully all that's going well. But on the basketball side, it's really what I expected. When you lose Dorian Finney-Smith, you lose some of those other wings that got you to the Western Conference Finals last year defensively. Now you don't have that. So your perimeter defense isn't great. Your 2 best players on the team are not great perimeter defenders to begin with. You don't have a rim protector. Kleber is your 5. He's not protecting the rim. He's a stretch 5. He's not even a 2-way stretch 5 like Brook Lopez. So you got to get stops. And just because you got 2 guys that can score 50 or 40, like we saw a couple of weeks ago, that doesn't necessarily guarantee you a W. And they're really figuring that out. And then also from a scheme standpoint, it's the 4 out, 1 in. Set the screen, or 5 out if Kleber's out there. And we know that scheme has a shelf life. If you check out my Knicks Boulevard IG reel, I implement shameless plug. Shameless plug. If you check out my IG reel a couple last week, I put a Kobe clip. Kobe was talking to Rachel Nichols. He was also with Tracy McGrady, and he was explaining why the isolation style doesn't win championships. And this is coming from Kobe, a guy that people deemed as a ball hog, as a chuck. And he's saying you can't win a championship this way. So it's just so crazy to me how that clip's been out for like 4 years, maybe 4 or 5 years. And this guy has 5 championships, but we still see teams in the NBA run isolation to the core. It's baffling to me. Jason Kidd, one of the best point guards of all time, high IQ. You would think he would know that as well. I feel like, yes, it works because you have 2 talented guys. They're going to get to their spots, plus the spacing. But it's just a shelf life on that scheme, especially in the playoffs, because the defense is in front of you every time. And that's one of them. From an X's and O's standpoint, that's why they're struggling. They don't have the defense, and their scheme could cause stagnant offensive possessions. What's your thoughts on what's going on in Dallas, brother?
Goodness, this is going to bug me. It seems like compared to what they had last year with, Brunson, your guy Brunson, with Luka, everything seemed to work well. Of course, they had some other pieces as well that had just worked out perfectly, especially playoff the Suns, as Nick would fuss at me if I would have to say my Suns. That horrible game 7 that we don't even want to talk about, that the Mavericks just did whatever they want to. And Luka looked like it was schoolyard basketball, basically. He could do anything he wanted to, pick up, and it just destroyed. And Brunson was a great Robin to that team. And I almost feel like the Mavericks splurged a little bit by getting Kyrie, almost to say, hey, let's lick our wounds for what we lost with Brunson and see what he's doing. Let's get that, see if we can replace that back. I'm not at all saying Kyrie's the fault. I just feel like they're going to take a little more time what we thought to gel together. There's been times that we've seen in a close game where Luka said, I should have passed it to Kyrie, just to know what they're going to be doing at the end of games. If they don't make the play-in game, I'm shocked. And, of course, I know they're out now, and there's like 7-8 games left. So it's going to be tough for them to get back into it now. But still, This team, I feel like if they can make it into the playoffs, they can still make a lot of noise. Like when you have Luka on the team, when you got Kyrie on the team, which we just talked about, even here, UCJ talk about how you got to have more than that. They've done it in the past with that, and they can make it work. Now, do I think championship ring? Absolutely not. But I do think a series, round 1, round 2, possibly they can hang in there to where they still contend. I do think Wood is a year away to stepping up and being more of an offense, and I do think a little bit of Jason Kidd not involving him a little bit more. It seems like watching some of the games, he'll have a stretch of about 15 minutes where he's really involved in the offense, and then the rest of the game he just kind of disappears. So it is a little bit of a panic mode. A panic button might be hitting here. I was actually trying to pull up here. I didn't get to it. Let me see if I got it here. The last games here, they've got Pacers, the 76ers, Heat, Hawks, Kings, Bulls, and Spurs. So even those last 8 so many games, some of those games are going to be teams that are battling to get in still. Pacers are knocking at the door to that playing game. I think they're like a 12th, 13th or 12th. 76ers are trying to move up. I don't know what that word is, but trying to move up still. The Hawks are still in the top 10. Can't remember where they're at right now. Kings still trying to make noise in that 3-4 spot. The Bulls, I think, are 10 right now, so they're still trying to move up to get to maybe that 8th seed. And the Spurs, okay, they don't want to win. So that's a game that you know you're going to be able to win because they're trying to win for the draft pick. So out of these next 7 games, I would say the Pacers and the Spurs are really their games should be given. The rest are going to be a battle. And looking at the standings right now in the West, they are 1 game out of 10th place, and that's behind the Thunder and the Lakers. So they do have a chance because I was looking – we'll get into that part a little bit more. What bothers me and getting a little more, I guess, ripping some layers off of the onion is Luka seems to be more upset and is being more vocal about it. I don't think Luka's really been much of a player that's talked much to the media about how he feels, what's going on, happy or sad, whatever his emotions. But something's changed in that locker room or in that atmosphere that he's saying he's lost his joy. And that's tough. If you lost your joy to play, there's a huge problem because Luka has made it obviously known that he don't really care much. Like, he's out here to have fun. He's going to play and get 40 points, a triple-double, and he's going to smoke 4 cigarettes and go get drunk too. Like, he's just having fun. So for him to say he's lost that, to me, that holds up red flags for that Maverick front office right now. You've got to keep Luka happy. If it's Kyrie and Luka not getting along because these losses are happening, between you and me, CJ, and as I'm asking, I'm going to bring you back up to my camera here. If this were to go on and end of the season and Luka comes up to the front office and say, I don't like Kyrie, do you think they make some moves? Now, I'm not saying that's what it is because I feel like so many times in this, especially this year, people have gunned at, let me change the words gun because Ja Morant and all that whole thing, has really attacked at Kyrie this year with just off-ball stuff. So I don't want to be associated with that. I think Kyrie's a good person, a good player and everything. But if these two are bumping heads or too big of alphas, Kyrie's got to go with it if that's the problem, don't you think?
Yeah.
Take a drink of this beautiful M&C cups.
Nice cup, brother. Nice cup. Coming soon. I'll start off before we get to that. You said why he lost his joy. I mean, maybe because they're not moving the basketball. Like when it's just a 1-man show or a 2-man show.
True.
The other three guys on the court is just standing in the corner or standing in the wing the whole game. That's not fun. That's not fun watching 2 guys just do everything. And then, you might get the basketball with like 5 seconds left on the shot clock. It's just You can't work with that. You can't work with that as a team. So I think they need to move the basketball. Why aren't they cutting to the basket? I rarely see guys cut to the basket in the NBA today. All the passes are just on the 3-point line, the whole possession. Most possessions, all these passes, it's just on at the 3. It's crazy to me. No one tries to put any pressure on the defense in terms of cutting to the basket, going to the paint. And when we've seen historically, that also opens up the spacing. It's just very weird. And De'Aaron Fox came out and said, this is like college basketball. Doesn't like watching it. You can say the same thing for the NBA as well. It's just more talented guys in the NBA. So we're enamored by their talent. But from a schematic standpoint, everybody pretty much runs the same thing, with the exception of a few teams. So that's a factor. If he goes to the front office and says if they want to get rid of Kyrie, of course, they're going to make that move. He's the guy. It's his team. I don't know if that's the case. They've only played 11 games together, if that. I know they've been around for maybe 12, 13 games. So it's just not. And then Kyrie's missed time, Luka's missed time during that time frame as well. So I just feel like, one, they need to get some chemistry going. Really, that's the key thing. They need to get some chemistry going and change up that scheme and play defense. If your two best guys are not playing defense, the rest of the team is not going to follow suit. They're just not. You have to bring that type of identity to the basketball court for your team. So those games, you said Pacers and you said Spurs, right? Pacers and the Spurs. Yeah, you would think those are layups, but they just lost to the Hornets two games in a row. So you can't even consider those easy W's. It's just they're crumbling. They need a leader. They need a leader to kind of bring things together. I don't know who that is. Is that Luka? Is it Kyrie? Maybe Kyrie doesn't feel like he needs to be as vocal because he just got there. I'm not sure. Maybe it has to be Kidd, since he's a former player. He would understand these guys. The discussion needs to be had, because this is it. I mean, there's only 1 week left, pretty much 10 days left in the NBA season. So you don't want to look back a couple weeks after the season like, man, I wish we would have did this, wish we would have did that. Kyrie's not the problem. I don't believe he's the problem either, brother. You know how I feel about Kyrie. He does have his moments where it's tricky, but I feel like a lot of it is, he's opinionated. A lot of his opinions don't fall in line with everyone else, or what society thinks is right, or what they should say or supposed to say. So he has a different opinion, and as soon as you have a different opinion than somebody else, that's when they start to label you and call you other things. So I think, as opposed to just having more of a conversation with him and learning about who he is, they rather shun him out and call him names. So very weird. But from a back to basketball, it's now or never for a lot of these teams, but more so for Dallas, because they were in a really good spot before Kyrie got there, and that's what people are going to say. It's unfortunate. Is it fair? No, but since you're in that position now, and if they don't get themselves out of it, that's the narrative that the media is going to create. We already know how they feel about Kyrie already. So if those guys, everybody 1 through 15, need to really come together and lock in for this last 10 days.
Now, Vince, I'm going to say real quick on Facebook, he's got a comment or two coming in here about the Lakers. We're going to get to that, but I want to ask you this real quick too. I don't want to say Kyrie is the problem, like I've already said that, but is it that Luka is so laid back? I don't want to say lethargic, but like he just is a little bit easygoing about this, that Kyrie's coming in and maybe trying to change stuff and be a little more aggressive, a little more quote unquote serious about this, and that's causing some turmoil in the locker room, that dividing them. And I'm not saying Kyrie's a problem, but Kyrie is the new person, and they just did what I think a 4-loss in a row streak. That's what it's called. And then they won a couple. Then they're like 4 losses in a row or 3. So I mean, and again, like you said, they've not played well together, but something's going on in there that they're not winning. Like they should have beat the Hornets.
Yeah, both games easily should have beat the Hornets. The first game, I believe that might have been Friday or Thursday. They slept on them in the first half. They just played lackadaisical, like you said, lethargic. That was their mindset in that game. And you just can't sleep on teams in the NBA. Everybody has talent. Just because everybody doesn't win doesn't mean they're deprived of talent. And if you sleep and you lack on these teams, you could definitely get beat any given night. Kevin, what's going on? Roster stinks. I agree. They don't have the roster to win a championship at all. We kind of talked about that at the top of the segment. Appreciate you for stopping by.
Absolutely.
They don't have the defenders. They don't have the rim protectors to even contend against anyone. So it's more than just two guys dropping 40 every single night when you want to win. And it's crazy. Kyrie knows that. And I don't know. I just really can't answer that question that you asked because I'm not.
We're not in the locker room.
Yeah, we're not there. We don't know.
Right.
We really don't know what's going on. And but I'm just saying what they're going to do. What the media is going to do if somehow they don't make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. We know the automatic scapegoat. We just do. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully they somehow get in the play-in or something like that. So. Mm-hmm. We can see them back in the playoffs because they're gonna say how you go from the Western Conference Finals last year to just in the playoffs. I could see it now. I could see it. I could see it now on Undisputed, First Take, all these shows, NBA Today, that they're gonna. How did they make the play? How did they make the Western Conference Finals last year but missed the play? And it was like, what's the common denominator? And then there you go. It's just they're ready for it. They're so ready to attack Kyrie real. So I hope that's not the case, and I hope they get into this playoff.
Now, I've got to bring this comment in because it kind of aggravates me a little bit.
Aggravates you?
Of course, it's Nick. We got to start looking at J. Kidd. I feel like he's gotten a pass. Now, this is why it aggravates me. When the Lakers started off this season and was playing trash, I started saying, how come Ham isn't getting any repercussion on this? And, Nick was one to defend him and say, oh, it's his first year. He's a rookie, all this stuff. But this just now started happening. Like they have been in the top 4, top 5. I think even once they're up as high as third in the West. So they've went on a losing streak just in the last 10 to 15 games of a couple of streaks here. I don't think you can blame Jason Kidd because, again, out of these 11, 12 games, like they've not really played together. So do you agree with me that it can't be Kidd's fault on this?
Well, I mean, Kidd has to have some type of blame. He is the head coach. Also, again, you go back to the schematically standpoint, and what's successful, what's not successful. He does definitely have some blame because it's no way this guy's been playing basketball, coaching basketball for let's say 3 decades, right? Mm-hmm. Probably 4, and you don't know that. A heavy isolation scheme doesn't produce championship. I think about it all the time. Like these guys watch film, they have scouts, and they still just run the same scheme over and over and over again. I'm just like, it's not going to work. We've never seen a championship team We've never seen a team win a championship playing that way. Why do you guys keep doing it?
Let me interrupt you real quick too.
Kid does deserve some points for sure. Now you go ahead.
It's just, Jason Kidd is my favorite player in the NBA because he's a pass first kind of point guard. But like, this is not even his style of how he played. Like you get some of these coaches that like, hey, I mean, I'm going to say Steve Kerr, known for shooting, and he's changed the NBA in his coaching style with, of course, he had Thompson and Curry as well, who are knockdown threes. And all of them together has changed the whole way of playing NBA. But Jason Kidd is not an isolation type kind of guy player. It's a pick and roll, alley-oop, pass the ball over here, find the open person to get it there and deliver. But his coaching style has been isolation. Is it because that's what they have? And we're up 22 minutes. We probably spent way too much time on this Dallas. But, I mean, is it him coaching different because of what his roster is? Or do you think this is what he wants to coach? Because, when he was in the Bucks, he had Giannis.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously the talent on your team definitely dictates what you run. But so far, since he's been with the Mavericks, that's what I've seen. I've seen the isolation basketball. I've seen the isolation basketball for sure. Since he's been coaching the Dallas Mavericks. It works in the regular season. It works in the regular season because 29 other teams don't have elite defenders every single night. So, if you have a top 5, top 6 player in the NBA, if you have 2 top, let's say top 20 players in the NBA, yes, you could tween, dribble, the whole game and be successful. And if they double, kick it out to you could do that successfully in the regular season. Sure, of course. But when you're playing the same team every other game and teams are scheming, schematically scouting, trying to find ways to, stop you, that is just, there's just a shelf life on that way of playing basketball. So, so far that's what I've seen from kids. So yeah, I agree with Nick. He definitely deserves some type of blame also, for sure. It's a whole thing. You can't just look at the players in a 4-game losing streak and just say it's just the players. I know it hurts. Man. But he got to lock in and change some things up too. But I doubt they're going to change anything at this point. I mean, the season's already done, so it's tough. It's tough, man. We'll see how they respond in these next couple of weeks.